Okay, so welcome again. You are here for the best practices for designing your Moodle course, and this is a part 1 workshop. We're going to get into kind of some different tools and ideas with this workshop, and you'll get an email at the end of the workshop with a link to view this presentation, so there will be some live links in there that you'll be able to click on that you can't during the Collaborate session. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I'm Suzanne Edmonds. I'm a lead instructional technologist here in Delta, and then my co-presenter, co-teacher today is Eileen Chapello, and she's also a lead instructional technologist in Delta. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing that I just want to make you aware of are all the options that you have within Collaborate. And I'm going to start with just these basic interactive tools. So you have a talk button here. If at any point you want to ask a question, or at some point throughout the workshop we ask you questions, if you want to grab the mic, just make sure that you press that talk button, because if you don't and you're talking, no one will know except you. Just make sure to also click the talk button off when you're finished so that we don't get any feedback or background noise. So the next thing are the feedback tools. You have the emoticons here. If you need to step away for a moment, please make sure to check that. And then if you want to raise your hand if you have a question, feel free to do that as well. And then we have a polling tool that we'll actually take advantage of throughout the workshop as well. So sometimes it might be a check mark. Here in just a little bit, it'll be a multiple choice option. So just make sure that you know where that's at and that you are good to go. You also have the whiteboard tools, which most of you have already experienced because you answered the question on the previous slide. So throughout, again, the workshop will ask you to answer questions, and you're going to use that tool right there. And then last but not least is the chat. If you need to ask us questions, or if someone answers one of our questions and they need some help, feel free to put that in the chat, or anything else that you need to know. If you don't have a mic and you want to use the chat, that's perfectly fine as well. So hopefully you're good to go on the Collaborate. And let's go ahead and have you answer this first question, which is, what is your experience designing Moodle courses? So just where that check mark was that you should now have an A, are you a beginner, intermediate, or advanced? Right, so it looks like we have a good mix of beginner and intermediate, and then one advanced. And Bethany, of course, you're advanced. We love that about you. So as your beginner and intermediate, hopefully today you'll get some tips and best practices and ideas that you can use in your own Moodle course. And then our next question is, what important best practice elements can you think of when designing your Moodle course? So if you'll use that A, or grab the mic, or throw it up in the chat, what can you think of when you're designing? All right, so these look great. I love how it's consistency and organization, making sure that you're editing the content, breaking the content up into segments, making sure that things are easy to understand. Absolutely, these are all best practices, and we are going to cover some of those today as well. I'm going to give you just a second to read over our rationale for learning today. Okay, so even in the rationale, you see some of those words that you guys already used, the organized, the consistent. So again, that's kind of going to be the main thing here. And our goal is for you to be able to at least implement one best practice from today's workshop. So at the end of the workshop, it's our goal that you'll be able to identify best practices whenever you're organizing your Moodle course, use specific Moodle tools to structure your course, and then apply any tips and strategies to deliver that content. Just a couple quick notes. Sometimes when presenters use Collaborate, they're using application sharing and web tours, and while we'll do a little bit of that, we're not going to do the main part of that. We're doing mainly screenshots rather than actual live courses, and that's because we want to save bandwidth because we kind of have a larger group here today, just to make sure that everyone can see everything. And then one more reminder that this is simply an overview of strategies and ideas and best practices that you can apply to your own course. We won't be covering the necessary steps in order to add all these things to your course, but we will be showcasing what your course could look like in the end. And then if you need further help, we are actually going to be having a Part 2 workshop on February 22nd, and we'll remind you of that again in just a little bit. Or you can contact LearnTech to set up a consultation, and we'll kind of go over that part at the end as well. So, that being said, the strategies that we're going to look at today in order to follow the steps in order to have an ideal Moodle course, some of the ones that we're going to talk about, and please know that this is not all of them, we're going to talk about planning and communication, organization and consistency, which just like you guys stated on the best practices slide before, that's important. Navigation and design. Accessibility is becoming kind of one of those buzzwords that's very important in higher ed. Engagement, and then feedback will be how we're going to end it. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Eling, and she's going to get into the meat of our presentation today.
Sounds good, Suzanne. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide here. Now, before you use Moodle, planning is important, right? You need to think about what you really want to achieve from your Moodle course and what is your objective for this course. Now, earlier that we had a question for you about what makes a good learning experience, and you all had many great ideas. So think about how you can apply these ideas into your Moodle course. Okay, so plan out exactly how you are going to get to your end result is essential. Now, it's like building a house on this screen right here. You need to decide the structure of the house. Now, once you have that, narrow it down, then you can put different pieces in the house. Right? Now, I know that there are so many technologies available, and it can be great, but it also can be very overwhelming. And one thing that to keep in mind is that you want to let the pedagogy guide the technology, not the other way around. Okay. Now, as you think about planning, one of the things goes hand in hand with that is communication within your course. Now, this communication can be how you welcome your students, and it can be in writing or in video. Right. That being said, I have a short example welcome video for you to watch. Now, this course is a basic sculpture course from College of Design, and it's about I believe it's a minute and 30 seconds video. So I am going to go ahead and play this video on the whiteboard, and I will also paste the link of the video in the chat in case you have a hard time to watch. So give me a few seconds to set it up very quick. And once the video, once we finish watching the video, I will bring everybody back to the whiteboard and we can talk about your thoughts. So let me go ahead and get started. All right. What did you notice about the communication within the video? Go ahead and type your things that you notice about this video on the whiteboard or in the chat. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Great. So those are the stuff that you all noticed. That's very interesting. Great. And for me, I noticed that he used a lot of positive words. He mentioned about, I will be your primary guide instructor and the cheerleader. And someone also pointed out that he used together a lot. Yeah, I remember he said something about we are here together and we will learn and grow and blossom together. And I also feel like he delivered a very clear, encouraging message. For example, like I have faith in our process and I have faith in you as a student. And he mentioned something about basic sculpture can be challenging, but you must welcome new unfamiliar challenges and find enjoyment in all you do. So for me, I believe this course is I think 200 level course. I might have no experience of doing sculpture, so I might be very nervous and intimidated. But after watching his welcome video, I feel that energy and optimism from him, like someone also pointed out, I feel less intimidated too. And I also like that some people think that it's visually engaging too, and I totally agreed with that too. And that's something I didn't even notice, but so it's really interesting that you point that out too. Great, thank you for all your feedback. Now the example I showed you was about communication in video, right? So now let's take a look at communication in writing. So I'm gonna move on to the next slide here. So now this example is course instruction for course description for microeconomic class. So I would like you to go ahead and read these two examples, and once you are done, I will bring everybody back to discuss about this example. So I'm go ahead and take a minute to read these examples. Okay, so how is everyone doing? Do you still need more time to read these two examples? Give me a green check if you are done, and give me a red X if you are not done. Awesome. So everyone is done. Great. So what do you, which example does it motivate you as a student? Go ahead and give me, thank you, Suzanne, change the poll to A and B. Go ahead and choose your choice. I see lots of B, and it's okay if you feel like A, that's okay too. Awesome, looks like everybody has choose their answer. So great, so you can see that both descriptions are for the same course. It roughly contains the same information, but the language used to convey that information is very different. Now, again, that I might be nervous about taking this course, especially this is microeconomic course. I have no clue about this class. But then when I read the example B description, it got me excited about learning this subject, especially, you know, while everyday choices I make, it can affect, it goes with microeconomics principles. And I feel like an active part of what happens in the class. And also, especially when I see that the instructor loves this course, not because he or she has to teach the class. So again, the enthusiasm from the instructor definitely affect my attitude toward taking this course. So the message is short, but impactful. Okay, so now you might be wondering, why am I showing these two examples? Well, because when it comes to the communication, it's all about setting the right tone, right? The right tone can be used to set the stage and the context for the course, and it definitely affects students' attitude toward taking this course. So keep in mind when you design your course, now it's important to spend time to plan, but also setting up the right tone to communicate and to start out your course is also essential. Okay. Now, when you design your course, you want to keep in mind that before we get into more detail about our strategies, but one thing though I want to ask you, when you look at this picture here, do you feel like you are motivated? Do you feel like you can get your work done? Go ahead and give a green check if you feel like you can get your stuff done. If not, give me a red X. I see lots of red X's. Now, some people can work well in this environment, but majority of us probably cannot. And for me, I will not be able to work in this environment because, first of all, I don't have a place to sit. And everywhere, all the information are all scattered around. It's really hard for me to find the book that I'm looking for. Okay. Now, how about this right here, this environment? Give me a green check if you feel like you can get your work done working in this environment. Yeah, I see a lot of green check. Me too. I feel like, oh, I can breathe. I have a place to sit. I even have a place to sit down and also reflect what I learned in the back. Now I have books on the shelves that I can easily locate them. So so think about this environment is like your online environment. Okay, organization is so important. Okay, so when you design your course, you want to keep in mind that, especially when we are using Moodle, you want to use Moodle as a launch pad, not a dumping ground. Okay, so organization is very important. You want to make sure that you present your information in a clear and logical manner. So in Moodle, you can organize your content by topics or weeks, and we have instructor organized by modules. So so the information, if you organize all that content through different topics and weeks and modules, the information is not scattered. Okay, so keep in mind, that when your students are using Moodle, especially if you are teaching DE, you won't be there to tell them where to go or where to click, right? So it needs to be obvious where to get that information. Now, a couple of tools to help you with the organization in Moodle, such as you can use labels to structure the content. So it helps students to navigate to what they need and to reduce their confusion. Now, if you use labels, keep them on the shorter side. Long labels, descriptions, lengthen your homepage, and add extra noise. Okay. Now, you can also use indentation to prevent long, flat lists to help identify related items. Have you ever gone to the website that the information just keep going and going, the pages just keep going and very lengthy? We call that scroll of death. Have you all experienced that? If so, that you want to try to avoid that happening in your Moodle course. Now, in Moodle, you can use subpages for details, so the home page won't be too lengthy. So a couple tools that you can use, such as NC State book and the page. And later we will talk to you more about what these tools are, and we also have examples to show you as well. So I know that earlier about we have an icebreaker. Someone mentioned about you want to break content into segments. So these tools are a great way for you to break your contents into smaller bite-sized pieces. Okay. Now, when you, I am not, let's see, okay. So by default, Moodle shows all the sections and blocks in one page. For courses with lots of activities and resources in each section, you can choose to show one section per page. So instead of showing all the blocks and sections in Moodle homepage, which will make your page very lengthy, it will show one section per page. Okay, so is everyone familiar with this setting? Give me a green check if you know the setting. I see some green check, and I also see some red X's. Okay, so great. Majority of you seen the one section per page, but we have also a couple of people do not know. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the example course here. Now, one thing though, before I show you example course, I want to let you know that in this workshop, we are going to show you different example courses. But you all have access to these courses after workshop. And Suzanne already mentioned to you that we are going to show you using the slideshow because to save the bandwidth. But if you want to look at them in more detail, you all have access to these courses, and the link it's on the last slide. Okay. Now each course has some best practices examples that we want to showcase to you, and I hope that it gives you some ideas and inspirations to apply to your course. So this course I'm showing you is EAC 580, and that's actually taught by Dr. Donna Patherbridge, and we want to thank her for allowing us to use her course as an example. So you can see that she organized her content by different topics. Okay, and you can see each topic also clearly identify when this topic starts. Okay. Now, also each topic also has a clear description to help students to understand that what they will be learning in this topic. But notice that I don't see the content of the topic. However, on the bottom of each topic, you can see there's this sentence that's grayed out. It tells you that what kind of activities and resources that are included in this topic. So if you want to see them in detail, so for example, if I want to see topic 2 detail, so I can simply just click on topic 2. Now, it will show me, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide here. It will show me the content of this topic 2 in here. Okay. Now you can also see that she organized her content by using labels. Okay. Now if you want to move to a different topic, you can simply just click on the link on the upper right hand corner or the left-hand corner to advance to a different topics. Now, if you want to jump to, let's say, topic 5, you can simply just click on this drop-down menu in the bottom here to jump to a different topics. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to point out in this example is that you can see on the top right here, we call this block 0. Now, all these contents are in block 0 always stays in the top. It doesn't matter which topic that you move to. Okay, so this block is really good if you have important course information. This is a good place for you to place that information here, so that way students don't lose and know exactly where to find that information. Okay, now so this is an example of one section per page. Okay, so now, not only organization is all important, but consistent is the key to a consistent layout. Gives students clear expectation of what's available and where to locate similar information across all their Moodle module. Now, keep to the standard layout. You want to refrain from removing or changing the content or location of items. If you have to do that, you want to make sure to let your students to know that where they can find that items. Now, if you apply theme and the design, you want to make sure that each of your page looks similar to the others in terms of color themes, fonts, I think structure, and the layouts. So it can be very jarring for your students when each page of your site look a little bit different from one another. They might start to wonder that if they are in the right place, right? Now, you also want to make sure that your link stays consistent too. So you want to set up the links in the same fashion. So what I mean by that is that if it is an external link, we recommend that you want to set the link to open to a new window, so students don't lose the Moodle homepage. Now, if it's an internal link, you want to open the same window. So be consistent in how you set links to create a consistent user experience and the expectation. Now, earlier we mentioned about NC State book can help with organization, but it can also help your content to stay consistent. So for those of you who are not familiar with NC State book, what this tool does is that it allows you to create a set of web pages that are linked together through a table of contents. So you can present multiple pages of content where there's only a single entry point from the main course page. And we will take a look at examples soon, so you might that will help you to better understand. Now, when you have a consistent content, it helps students to focus on learning. Okay, so I want to show you an example course. Here, this course is PRT 358, and it's a recreation program planning course that was taught by Dr. Annette Moore. And again, we want to thank her for allowing us to use her class. So let's go ahead and take a look at how she organized her content. You can see that she organized her content by using different milestones, and the title of the milestone. Following with that is she did a banner for this milestone, and below that is the description and the learning objectives. Now, for this milestone, there's specific tasks that students will need to complete. Now, if I move on to the next one is, again, that she also organized the content by milestone, and it starts out with the title of the milestone. Following with that is the banner, and with a clear description and learning objectives, and again, tests to complete. Okay, so earlier we talked about organization and consistency. So you can see that she organized her content by using different milestones, and it's very clearly for you to find the content. And consistency-wise, that you can see that her design and the content is very consistent. Okay, one thing though I do want to point out is that you can notice that she has, for each milestone, she has a specific tasks that she wants students to complete. Now, instead of listing all these tasks in a Moodle homepage, which will make the page really lengthy, right? But instead, she used this NC State book for details. Okay, so earlier I already explained to you what this NC State book is, and so let's go ahead and look at an example of what it looks like. So if you click on the NC State book, you can see that on the left-hand side is the main content. Okay, now you can navigate to a different tasks by going to this, click on this green arrow keys. Or you can navigate the content by using this table of contents on the right. Okay, so so it's easier for your students to navigate the content. Now, one great thing about using NC State book is that it also, if students want to have a hard copy of these tasks that they need to complete, they can simply just print out the content. They can print out the entire content, or they can print out the specific chapter. Now, if you do decide to use the NC State book, this tool, now this feature is automatically available, enabled for you, so you don't have to manually enable this feature. Okay, now if you are interested in learning more about NC State book module, there's a link in the resource page at the end of the slides, and so feel free to check it out. And after today's workshop, if you check out the book and then you feel like hey, I want to learn more about how to use this book and I want to implement it into my course, we encourage you to attend our Part 2 workshop, which is on February 22nd on Wednesday, and we would love to see you. And this is a Part 2 workshop is a face-to-face workshop, and so we will teach you the tools that you want to learn from today's workshop. Okay. Now, let's say that being said, you can see NC State book is a great way for you to display for detail. Now, if you don't have a lot of information to chunk them into different segments, now you can also use page. Okay, so like this example here, this is a sculpture course that earlier we saw his welcome video. So in his course that he has different equipment and material that he wants students to get. But now that information is not lengthy enough to use NC State book. So in this case, that he used page to display in detail. Okay, so how are you all doing? I feel like I talked so much. So I have mentioned to you about planning, about organization, and consistent strategies. And I'm interested to know that which one do you use in your course? Now, if you don't use any, which one would you like to begin using? I'm going to give you a few minutes and go ahead and type it on the whiteboard or in the chat. Great, thank you for your feedback. It looks like NC State book is a big hit. Great, I'm so glad you guys are interested in using this book. This book has a lot of different features, and I will talk to you more about it. This tool is very versatile too. It depends on your purpose of what you want to achieve. And I will show you other examples of how faculty use this book in different purpose. And I also see that people are interested in learning how to set up a link and open to a new window. And it's so easy, and then we will, if you need help, we will be glad to help you. Awesome. Great, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So the next strategy I would like to talk to you is that not only make sure that you want to make sure that your content is consistent, right? But you also, it's easy to navigate as well. So a couple of tools you can incorporate. The first one that I want to mention to you is the activities block. Now, the activities block displays, well, before I explain to you about activities block, I want to know how many of you know what this block is. Go ahead and give me a green check if you know what the activities block is. If you don't, give me a red X. Okay, I see the majority of you don't know what this is. So the activities block displays all course activities within the block with the quick links directly to the activity. So for example, if you created assignments or quizzes or forums, or you post any kind of like resources in Moodle, so all that information will be displayed in like links in this block. Okay, so essentially students can use this activity block as a shortcut to see a list of all the activities included in a course. So to help you better understand, I have this example right here. So now this is an ADM 14 course, and later we will look at the content of this course. But in this course, that he included assignments, forums, choices, all in his courses. So you can also find that activities and those activities and resources in this activities tool block. So if I was a student, if I'm looking for assignment 2, now I can scroll down to the course trying to locate that assignment 2. Or I can simply just click on assignments link in this activities block. So what it does is that it will display all the assignments in a list, all the assignments in the course display in a list right here. So I can simply just locate, oh, okay, top assignment 2, this is what I'm looking for. So I can simply just click on this. And they also show you the due date. Now, same thing that if I click on choices basically is poll, so it will show you all the choices that you have to accomplish in the course. So like I said, so this activities basically is like a shortcut for your students to find the information they are looking for easily. Okay, so when you request a Moodle course, by default, this activities block is enabled. Okay, so if you are planning on using this activities block, I recommend that it will be helpful to move this activities block on the top of the course. And so it's easier for your students to locate. Now you also want to explain to your students what this block is and how they can utilize this, so they know how to utilize this block to locate the information. So this is activities block. So are you all clear about what this tool? Give me a green check if you are all good. So this tool is a great way to navigate, help your students to navigate the content. Awesome. And it's available, so I bet a lot of you don't know, so now you know. Okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next tool that allows you to help you to navigate Moodle content is the HTML blocks. So give me a green check if you know what this HTML block does, or red X if you don't know. Great, so that's okay if you don't know what this block does. So what this HTML block is that it's a standard block, allows you to add text or images in this tool block. Okay, so this tool block has HTML editor for allow you to format your text, add images, and create links. And the block is customizable, so you can use this for a variety of purposes. So some instructors use it for instructor contact information, which is very helpful, especially if you are teaching DE courses. You can use this block to put your contact information and also put your picture in that block too, so students can put your name and face together. Now, some people also use this block for technical support or supplemental course materials. So essentially, like I say, it depends on the purpose of how you want to utilize this block, and you can name the block according to the purpose. So that being said, I want to show you this example here. Now, this is Donna Pathersbridge's course example that you all saw earlier. So in her course, she used this HTML block, but she used this block as she named it as a useful links. And she put the links that she thinks students might visit these pages more often. So she included links in this tool block. And she named this HTML block as a useful links. Okay, so I can click on course. I can try to find the course schedule in the course, or I can simply just click on this course schedule link. And it will, I'm trying to advance to a next slide. I was having a hard time. So okay, so then it move. So it will. If I click on course schedule, it take me directly to this page for the course schedule. Now, same thing. If I click on, like for example, instructor's contact information, now it will take me to the page for that information. So this is another way to create a shortcut to help your students to locate the information that they need. Okay, so are you all clear about what this tool block does? Give me a green check. Awesome, that's great. So now if you are interested in learning about how to create this tool block in your Moodle course, I welcome you to come to our Moodle Part 2 workshop, or contact our LearnTech, and we will be glad to help you. Now, again, that if you are interested in using this tool block, it's very helpful that if you can move this block to the top of your course, and so that way it's easier for your students to see this block and they can utilize this block easily. Okay. Now, great. So I'm going to go ahead. So these are the couple of tools that help you to navigate your Moodle content. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the design. Okay. So keep in mind that when you design your Moodle course, if you plan on using color, less is more. Less is more. That's correct. So be aware of colorblind students too, because using color to communicate important information can be problematic. So it's very important. You don't want to rely on color to convey your message. Now you also want to make sure to use the same font throughout your course. Now if you use images to highlight major course sections, you want to keep them consistent and minimal. And you also want to try to avoid animated GIFs because they can be very distracting. Okay. Now, by default, when you request your Moodle course, I believe that it shows 3 columns layout. Now, 3 columns can be very overwhelming if there's a lot of tool blocks and tool blocks that you don't use. So our recommendation is that only include the tool blocks that you are actively using. So you can use, in Moodle, you can change your layout to 2 columns, and you can delete some of the tool blocks that you don't want to use. So keep it simple and clean. So the key thing here is that like I said, you want to keep simple and intuitive so it's easy to understand. Like earlier you all have a feedback about easy to understand, flow goes well. So this is one thing that kind of help you to incorporate. Right? So simplicity is the key. Okay. Now, one more example I would like to show you. So this course, earlier you see the example that this class use activities block. Okay, so let's look at the content for this course. Now this course is taught by Dr. Charles Joyner, and this is a Color and Light College of Design course, and this course is a DE course. Now in this course you can see that he applied a theme for this course. And he started out his content by putting the title of the title of the course, technical information, and his contact information. Now, since it's a DE course, so he has his virtual office hours using Blackboard Collaborate, included the link, and he also clearly identified when he will be available online. Okay, and he also included his contact information. Now, earlier I talked about block 0, right? So in this block 0, he put important course content information, okay? Now, as we scroll down to look at his course, we can see that he clearly organized his content by different parts. So I should say that he divided his content by different parts. And so you can see he has part 1 and then part 2. Later we will look at it. So part 1, you can see that he used this icon to identify the part 1. So this icon is also aligned to the design theme that he applied in his course banner. So it's very simple, easy to identify, and it's not overwhelming. Okay. Now, if we look at the content for his course, you can see that he organized the content by different topic. Within the topic, he also clearly identifies when this topic will start, and also name of the topic. Okay. Now, if we look at the content of each topic, you can see that it starts out with the Paul. So it helps him to understand exactly how many students understand the specific topic that they will be learning. And following with that, he has assignments for students to work on and different lessons that he wants students to read. Once the students finish the specific lesson for this topic, then students can do the self-evaluation. Following with that, it's a different project for this specific topic. Okay. Now, one thing though I want to point out is that remember earlier that you see Dr. Moore use NC State book for checklist, right, to complete. But in this course here, Dr. Joyner used NC State book for his lessons. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly what it looks like. So I think this lesson is getting started. Okay, so you can see the content is on your left-hand side. You can navigate to a different lesson by using the green arrow key or use the table of the contents. So since it's lessons, so there are so many different chapters, different students will need to go through. Now, the chapter also, there are some sub-chapters within a chapter. So you can, in book, you can also create an indentation. Okay. So not only NC State book allows you to organize your content, but also can chunk your content into smaller bite-sized and digestible pieces. So it's easier for your students to locate the information, also digest the information. And the best part is that it also prevents your homepage looks very lengthy, okay, because you can use this tool for details. Okay. Now, if you do decide to use book, I want to point out is that planning is important. It's very important to develop an outline for your content. You want to identify where you want to chunk your content. Okay, and because for NC State Book, there are different pages that you can use. For example, introduction page or summary page. There are different block, which is not in this example, that you can use. So block basically you can, it's a supplemental place for your content. So it's very important to identify your purpose, understand where you want to chunk your content in order for you to know exactly which tool is available for you to use in this NC State Book. So again, we will have that information available at the end of the slide if you're interested in learning. And it looks like earlier a lot of people are interested in learning that. Now I'm going to move on to the next. Let's keep going to look at his content. So as you can see, week 6 and topic 6 and topic 7 are all have a very consistently content. Now in topic 8, you can see that after topic 8, all the content is not available. He hides the content. So you can see he basically only shows the content that is available for this specific week. And some instructors like to do that and some don't. So it really depends on if it works for you or not. And some students, by using this feature, some students feel it kind of help your students to focus on the content that they need to work on for this specific week. And one thing about Moodle is that you can also highlight the block. I don't know if you can see, you see, Suzanne, that there's a highlight in this. Okay, on my screen I cannot see. So basically if you can highlight the specific block, so it helps your students to know exactly what topic that they need to work on. So this course was designed by using the older version of Moodle. So if you use Moodle 3.2 now, so if you use the highlight feature, this is what it would look like. It basically highlights this specific block. Okay, so these are the, let me go ahead and see if there's any. Okay, so these are the examples I show you and strategies I want to share with you. So I am going to go ahead and move on for Suzanne to share with you all the strategies. So go ahead and Suzanne, take it away.
Thanks, Eileen. So hopefully you've got some ideas from everything that Eileen talked about. I'm going to go ahead and jump into accessibility now. So we are not the experts in accessibility, but we do want to touch on just a few tips that might help you as you're creating or updating your course. And the first one would be to use alt text for images. So if you don't know what alt text is, it's a shortened version of alternative text. And all images should have a textual description with them that tells the function of the image. This will ensure that people with visual disabilities can get the same message from your page as a sighted user. And then even if the images are decorative, put an alt text in there so people know they're just decorative and have no real purpose. You'll kind of see an example of that in just a second. You also want to caption media, and I'm going to group caption media and using the captions and transcripts together because this allows the web, audio, and video to be accessible to those who may not have access to audio. And then captioning is primarily intended for those who cannot hear the audio, but it's also been found to be helpful to those who either may not be fluent in the language or maybe just need some help to follow along with whatever the video is saying. And the same is true for a transcript. If you can include a transcript or a script, some people call them, with a video, it can be very helpful. I know I'm fluent in English, but at the same time, if someone puts a script up or they put captions up, more often than not, I will follow along with the script simply because it helps me stay focused and stay with the presenter and not get quite as distracted as if I don't follow along. So I'm going to back up just a little bit and go to using headings. So that also helps provide structure to a document into your course, just like Eileen mentioned before, but it also works with screen readers. So if you have any students who are using screen readers and need that heading as, whatever needs to go on, then that's super helpful. URL display, Eileen kind of mentioned this before as well. Just make sure that if you are opening in a new window, that's an external link. So for example, if you're in your course and you've put up a link to a YouTube video, make sure that you've got that URL displayed going to a new window. And then again, if it's within Moodle, something like maybe your gradebook, then those internal links can be opened in the same window. Just some other tips and tricks are accessible in the IT Accessibility Quick Guide. This link will be live whenever you get the presentation, but I did want to just show you kind of what this page looks like. And so I just took a quick screenshot of just the very first part, which is Blackboard Collaborate. So this page is actually going to tell you the different technologies that NC State supports. So there's things like Collaborate, Moodle, MediaSite, all those things are in there. You can actually see the tools over here on the right-hand side. You got Adobe Acrobat, Microsoft Word, those type of things. It's also going to show you how to build it accessibly, and then how to check if it's already accessible. So just like with Collaborate, you can see that says the Collaborate interface is accessible. You'll need to check your documents. So it just kind of gives you an idea, and then it also tells you that live captioning might need to be provided for users with hearing impairments. So you've got all those options there, and even some links within that page to help you as you're going through. So just to give you an example of what alt text could look like. So earlier, Elaine showed Dr. Joyner's course, and you noticed that she talked about the matching of the design with the basically title, along with what the sections are. And you see if I hover over this image here, you see the word sections. So that's alt text, and it's included in this image, but I would say be as descriptive as you can. Maybe instead of just sections, he could have put part 1, the study of color, if he had that image for every single topic. Now, if you don't have an image for every single topic, obviously that won't work. But if you end up doing that, make sure to put that alt text in and be as descriptive as possible. I know I was playing around in a Moodle course the other day to add an HTML block, and I put my image in so that the students could see me as the instructor. And when I did that, you automatically have to put in the alt text, and I made sure to put, Suzanne Edmonds' profile picture, just so that if there are people reading through the course, they don't know what that picture is, then that alt text will tell them. So going along just with headings. So not only is this more organized, but again, if students with disabilities have a screen reader, there's more detail for them here. Instead of just week 1 at the bottom, they've got week 1, they've got exactly when week 1 is, so this January 8th through 14th. They've got what's going to be covered during that week. And then even underneath that, they've got Introduction to Color and Light. So they know exactly what to expect from that week just because you've added headings or labels, like Elaine mentioned. So I'm going to stop for just a second because the next part we're going to talk about is how to make your course dynamic and really come alive. So what tools do you currently use in Moodle to make your course dynamic? You will grab the A whiteboard tool and put your name beside any and all of the ones you use, or ones you want to use, or feel free to write in the chat. As you guys are typing, Brian, I saw that you used Glossary. Can you tell me how you use it? You can type in the chat if you want. Awesome. Thanks, Brian. All right, so it looks like you guys are using quite a few different things. Brian, looks like you're the only one using glossary, and I'm going to talk about a couple different ideas that you could use with it. I totally agree with providing a list of technical terms. That's super helpful. Someone asked the question on the highlight, does it automatically update based on the date? No, it does not. That is one downfall of highlighting the current topic is you, as the instructor, have to keep up with it. If you want each week to be highlighted, you have to go in and change that. So that's just something to keep in mind as you go through. Or if you could, if you wanted to just highlight maybe the important information section or resource section or something to that effect, you could always have that one highlighted. But if you wanted to change per week, you would have to do that one yourself. So just keep that in mind. All right, looks good. So let's jump right into engaging your students and just some tips and some ideas that we've got for you. So again, making that content, that course content dynamic, making it come alive, making it engaging for the students, drawing your student interest. One of the tips that we have seen before in courses is providing a checklist for each week so that students have a way to ensure that they have completed all of the required work for that week. I know for me as a student that's super helpful. I'm a person who likes lists, and I want to make sure that I've covered everything I need to cover for that week. So if I can check things off, then I feel much more accomplished. So I know other students are like that as well, so if you can provide a checklist, that would be great. You can also use activity completion to accomplish that goal. And then if you're interested in using activity completion and aren't quite sure what to do, again, you can contact LearnTech on the final slide, and someone from LearnTech will definitely be able to sit down and show you how to make that work and what that is. Something else that a lot of people say they use are announcements, and that's just basically to make sure students have the most up-to-date information. The only thing that I want to note with announcements is that the students cannot unsubscribe to announcements, and they'll get messages in two places as a result, which will be in an email and on the Moodle page. So something just to keep in mind that they will, if it's something important, obviously, by all means, put it in announcements. Things like if we have bad weather and class is canceled, or if the test that they studied for is going to be moved. Something to that effect that can go in announcements. That would be super helpful for them. Class polls. So a way that you could do class polls, you could introduce new topics, or you could check knowledge like at the end of a topic. That could kind of be like I did elementary school, I taught elementary school for a while, so a lot of things we did were like KWL, so what you know, what you want to know, what you want to learn. You could kind of do the same thing with the class polls or the introduction of the topics that way. And then you could do the glossary. I know Brian mentioned the technical terms. You could also do a word of the week, and that could be a vocabulary word or a descriptive word about what the students are going to be learning that week, or just something important for that week that the students are going to need to know. So something to keep in mind is using that glossary. So I know that's not usually a widely used tool, so something to keep in mind. And then again, highlighting that current topic and revealing the blocks as the course progresses. And this can be an effective practice for you to either highlight, like I mentioned before, the important information or that current weekly or topic module content by bringing that to the top of the block. Just make sure, like I mentioned before, to be consistent because you are the one that has to control if you want to move that highlight or not. So just to kind of show you what some ideas are for the dynamic and the engaging content. So at the very top, you see this course is Dr. Petherbridge's course. And so you've got your course and Moodle orientation. So you've got your topic. Then you've got your description. So it also shows you, kind of what you're expected for the week, expected to do for the week, what you're expected to learn, even, about the quiz. If you don't make 100 on the quiz, you can still get all 10 points for the orientation if you work through the module. As soon as you finish it, start on the reading. So just some tips in there from the instructor. What I really like is that it shows you exactly how many pages, how many NC State books, how many URLs, how many quizzes, how many forum posts, how many assignments that I'm going to have to do that week. So as a student in this course, I kind of know just by glancing at which weeks are going to be the heaviest, and that will help me with timing and what I need to accomplish. So that this is showing one topic per page, and this just, again, shows the students kind of a broad overview of what's expected with them that week. And then the bottom screenshot shows that it's a good idea to put those notes or any other descriptions into a block. So, for example, they've got the resources for the major course projects, and then there's even a note that says these come later in the semester. So it's just simply a label. Elaine talked about labels earlier. They can help organize, and in this case, provide notes to students. So these students know, okay, I've got to start looking at this because it's going to come later, but I also know that they're major course projects. So again, that helping with the timing for your students and making sure that they are going through at not only their pace, but making sure they're completing everything as well. So the other thing is soliciting feedback, and I think this one kind of goes to the wayside at times. So we want to make sure that you're asking feedback from your students. So your students are going to be the experts. They're going to be the ones to be able to tell you if you've set up your course well, if they found your course user-friendly, if they had issues, etc. Something that we like to tell faculty is to ask mid-semester. The feedback that students provide about your teaching on their end-of-semester course evaluations, they can be valuable in helping you improve and refine your teaching for the future courses. But when you ask mid-semester, student feedback has the additional benefit of allowing you not only to hear your students' concerns while there's still time to make those changes, but then you can go back and ask for more feedback after you've made the changes. I worked with a textiles instructor not too long ago, and she actually took advantage and asked mid-semester feedback and then changed some of her teaching practices based on what her students said they needed or didn't really get a lot out of. And some things she couldn't change, obviously, but the things that she could, and she went back and asked her students later, really made an impact on her teaching and their learning. So just something to keep in mind as you're going through with the feedback. And then, okay, so what do I ask? Ask for constructive feedback. Ask what works in the course, what doesn't work. Your students are going to be the experts again. But one other tip would be to add a colleague to your course and get their feedback as well. Sometimes you're so close to the course and the content that you kind of forget to ask others' opinions that are kind of outside of what you do, simply because you're so into it. You're like, oh yeah, this makes sense, this is good, but sometimes it doesn't. So just make sure that you are asking students and maybe even colleagues as well. And then another idea would be to request a course quality review from Delta. So again, this link will be live whenever you get the presentation, so you'll have a little bit more information. But basically, this is a 4 to 6 week process. And then this link will give you some more information along with instructions on what to do in order to have your course reviewed. So just a couple ideas from, again, Dr. Petherbridge's course here. At the very top, you've got your evaluation link. And if you notice, you've got evaluate the course and evaluate yourself and your peers. So this is a good idea to take full advantage of all different types of feedback. So you've got the different course feedback. You've also got, if students have worked in groups, they've got to do their peer evaluations. And then even self-reflection is very helpful for students and teachers in general. And then at the bottom, you've got the information on how the evaluation might be used. So here you've got when it opens. You've got where to go to do that evaluation, and then what happens if you need help. You've also got this instructor, Dr. Petherbridge, she also put specific examples of how the evaluations might be used. And then I really want to bring your attention to two other pieces. And this one is just to let you know the evaluations are anonymous, so that reminds students once again if they've forgotten or didn't know. And then the very last paragraph where it says, it's okay if you're thinking, sorry, Dr. P, your course was not my thing, and I would like to forget it happened. But I do want you to be aware of this, as I know most of you take other courses. So giving students that permission to put those negative things can sometimes mean a world of difference. Not saying they're going to put those negative things, but if you've given them the okay, they're probably feeling more comfortable about doing it. So what kind of questions and feedback can you actually ask? The tools that you can use are, you can use Qualtrics. This is NC State's survey tool. You can use Google Forms. And you can choose for the Google form to be anonymous or linked to Unity ID. So if you really want to know who said what, you can do that. And then there's SurveyMonkey, and then there's other survey tools out there as well. There's plenty to take advantage of. And I'm going to show you actually some questions that can be asked during the mid or end of semester. So I'm going to use my application sharing in just a second. You do have access after the workshop to these questions, but I do want to show you just what they could look like. So bear with me 1 second and I'll get this application sharing going. Okay, so you are seeing the online survey that says, please rate the following elements of course organization. So you've got the course policies in here, you've got the due dates were clear, weekly content was easy to navigate. As I scroll down, you've also got what was most helpful about the organization, what was least helpful about the organization. And then you've got rate the following elements of course feedback. So the gradebook was organized, the policies were clear, weekly feedback on weekly assignments was timely. If I keep scrolling, I've got what was the most helpful about the course feedback, and then what was least helpful. And then the very last question is, what difficulties did you encounter while using the course materials, including PDFs, videos, discussion forums, and quizzes? And so this is the last question. If I just hit the next button, it's submitted. So just something to think about as you're going through. Those are just some example questions, and again, you'll have access to that whenever you get the slideshow in just a little bit. So we have done a lot of talking today, and we are nearing our end of time here with you guys. But we want to take just a second and ask you, now that you have some ideas about the best practices that we've talked about, what do you think you can do to improve your own course? And again, throw something up on the whiteboard or the chat, or feel free to grab the mic as well. All right, so these are some great ideas. You've got the activities, you've got starting each topic with a student poll, videos, absolutely. So it looks like you guys are coming up with some ideas. NC State book, absolutely. Making sure that you're organized and avoiding that scroll of death. We've also got welcome videos, the topical videos as well. Absolutely. Adding anything into your course to give it that personalized feeling, that's going to make your students feel more comfortable taking your course and reaching out if they have issues as well. So absolutely, those are all great ideas. So I hope that you guys will implement those. So just to kind of wrap up, we do have some resources for you that we used as we were creating this course. And the ones that I really want to bring your attention to are the Teaching with Moodle sites. So that's actually an NC State project space that you can go in and look through. The Qualtrics survey, so these are the questions that I showed just a few moments ago. And then the Intro to NC State book module. So that's going to be the one that you guys are probably going to want to look at the most based on some of your comments about wanting to incorporate the book module. So I want to just stop for a second and ask if there are any questions before I go to my next couple slides. Okay, I'm going to take the silence as y'all are all good. That being said, just a couple last things. These are some upcoming workshops that we have. We have some Top Hat, Getting Started with Moodle, Blended Learning. I really want to point out this Best Practices Part 2. So during this Part 2, we're going to focus more on how to create the items that we've mentioned today. But it's going to be in a face-to-face format. So it's a brand new workshop. Ely and I are creating it, and it was actually based on requests from participants of this Part 1 workshop. So many people wanted to see exactly how to create things like the NC State book or a page or an HTML block that we decided that it would probably be important to go ahead and just make a Part 2 workshop to have everybody come and have it be a workshop base with also some time to play around in your own course and make sure that you are ready to actually implement those tools and features. That being said, if you will, follow us. We have Twitter, and earlier I mentioned about the YouTube video. I'm working on a video now about how to add an HTML block to your course. So that'll be up there within the next couple weeks, so be sure to look out for that. And then we've also got Facebook. And these, again, they're live links that you're going to have whenever you get the slideshow this afternoon. And then finally will be our evaluation. So we've changed the way we do evaluations a little bit. If you have been to our workshops before, you typically did FDMS, and the most recent workshop was at the top. That's changed now. We're going to put the link in the chat in just a second. But what you're going to do is go to that website and then make sure when you go to this Google form that you choose this Best Practices for Designing Your Moodle Course Part 1, because that's going to be the one that we taught today. And then we're going to put our link to our presentation in here as well, but again, you'll get that in an email, and Ely and I are going to go ahead and stop the recording, but we will be around if you have questions or just need some clarification or want to see anything extra. Otherwise, thanks for coming.